Okay, so now what we're going to do is, let's say this is the capsicum, which we are cutting either along the top plane or along one of the front or the side plane. Now, oh sorry, front or the side plane or the top plane. So let's say we cut this piece. Now we have cut it vertically. So that's the first piece that we have cut. Now, as soon as you cut it vertically, you end up seeing obviously the wall thickness of the material, which is what gets cut. You might end up seeing a few seeds on either side, and you will end up seeing the curvature of the capsicum. Now the curvature is inside, the wall thickness which has been chopped is outside. So the light yellow part that you end up seeing is actually the wall thickness that has been chopped. Maybe a little bit of the stem has also been chopped, we don't know yet, but that will differentiate in the how you end up showing cross section. So we will come to how do you show cross sections a little later, but we have chopped it. Okay, so now you have to imagine you have a knife in your hand and you've taken a product and you have cut the product. Wherever the surface of the knife touches the surface of the capsicum is the part that gets shaded. The rest of the part you do not shade. By that I mean that if I was to look at the wall thickness of this material or this product, and if I look at the knife and the knife goes through the capsicum and it touches the wall thickness of the material or the product, then that means it's touching all of this part, right? Now, if it is touching this part, then that means whatever the knife has touched needs to be shaded like this. Now, you have to remember that when you are shading it, you cannot do it freehand, because in freehand what will happen is that inevitably you will end up making it not parallel, as you can notice over here, right? So what you will have to ensure is that when you are making these parallel lines, they need to be equidistant and they must remain parallel to each other. So rather than you doing it by hand, which is what many of us do, because we suddenly realize that there is a time constraint and we may not be able to complete the product or the question paper, we end up doing things like this. But what you need to keep in mind is that when you are doing something like this, you will have to use the scale and you will have to do it uniformly. And when I say uniformly, another thing that you can do is, see over here when you're marking, so let's say you marked a line over here. Now, obviously this is one area only. But as you go further, let's say you made as many as till here. Yeah. Now here what you can do is you can make it there, you can make it here, and you can make it here in one shot, rather than first making only this part and then coming to this part. In one shot, you can make as many sectional views that need to be shaded as you can. So that will make it easier for you, because that means you're starting from one side and as you see, you continue till you reach the other end. Okay, so this is what happens when you're looking at either the front elevation or the side elevation and cutting the capsicum. No other place needs to be shaded because the knife surface is not touching that surface. So only the area that was being touched has been shaded. Now this is for that. However, if I cut it along the base plane, that means I have to see the top view or the front view. What happens is, if let's say I keep the top view, which means when I'm looking from the top, I don't really see a sectional view. I still see the outside view. For me to be able to see the sectional view, I need to remove this part and then see what is being shown in the bottom view. So this is what you end up seeing. Because now what happens is that you end up seeing the four walls that connect to the central stem, which is where all the seeds were stuck. And you see the wall thickness over here as well. Now this time if we shade, what we are going to do is that we are going to use a scale and we will hope to maintain the thickness while also shading the whole thing together, so that we don't have to do one wall at one time and then come back to do the second wall, because in that usually we will end up going a little off. This is also something that you need to keep in mind when you are making a line segment, mainly because many a times what we end up doing is that we'll make a shorter line and then we'll see that, oh, we need to extend it further, and let's extend it further. In that, what happens is that it is possible that your line segment till the first point goes straight, and in the second extension that you end up making, it may not. We don't want that happening. So we have to ensure that in one shot itself, we get maximum detailing so that we don't have to keep coming back to it again and again. Okay, so this is how you will be shading this part. Now these are made to denote that this is the part that was cut, and therefore this is how it will show. So you need to ensure that whenever they give you a question related to a cross section, you follow this through. Sometimes they may give you a little bit of it already, which means you have to complete the rest, and therefore you will have to follow it exactly to the lines they have given, which means if they have given you lines that go, let's say, like this, you cannot start by going like that. You have to continue to follow it through and through. Okay.